Hello and welcome to the Scratch Conference. All of you who are here, I have a co-partner in crime if he will also share his audio and video. We're here to talk to you about Makey Makey and Scratch together and how you might use them in the ELA classroom. I'm going to go ahead and share my slides, which are here. All right, so Makey Makey and Scratch in the ELA classroom. I am Colleen Graves. I'm the Director of Communications and Marketing for Makey Makey. I have taught English. I taught English for 9 years and was a librarian for 6 years. So this is near and dear to my heart, and how we can get kids to enjoy ye old writing process, but also still, kind of have fun doing it with technology. And this is my co-partner in crime, Eli Phillips.
Hello.
You want to give your own introduction?
Yeah, I'm Eli. I am sales and outreach for Makey Makey. Prior to that, I actually also did a lot of sort of education focused stuff with the Makey Makey. I think the first time I used one, coincidentally, was in a Scratch literature thing with a group of third graders.
Ooh.
Yeah, we did. Students were adapting plays that they read into Scratch, and this would have been like a decade ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and just by coincidence, that was like
that's a crazy project that third graders were doing that.
It was very ambitious. I think they were third. They might have been fourth, but I'm pretty sure they were third.
I can advance my slides with my Makey Makey. I figured I could, but I just felt like I'd try it. I didn't actually put a slide about Makey Makey, so let's just talk a little bit about it with our screens.
Yeah.
But I always like the way you introduce Makey Makey because somehow I make it really convoluted. So
do you want me to?
But first is, if you're here in the chat, we can see that there are a lot of you. Can you say hello and where you're from? And if you have used Makey Makey or not, that would be totally amazing. All right. Yes. And Eli, I would love for you to do that. Also, can I turn on closed captionings, or is my producer supposed to do that? My mouse isn't letting me touch anything. So
I just clicked a button and closed captioning is on for me. I don't know if it's on for everyone.
I think that's the deal. I don't know what's going on, but my mouse is not behaving for me. Well, but yeah, so if you guys can say hello. Oh, there we are. Hello. I can see the chat. New Hampshire, Michigan, Florida. Rusty when it comes to Makey Makey. Ooh, from Kenya, new to Makey Makey. Hi, Karanja.
I'm going to take out my Makey Makey. Very smartly last night, I was organizing everything before this, and I said, I'm going to put all my Makey Makeys in a very noisy bag, which was a terrible idea. But then being on,
Stop it!
It's like being in a potato chip bag.
We have a New Zealander here. That's fun.
I saw one Texan. Hello from Texas.
And someone from Norway. Oh, yes. So Eli and are both in Austin, Texas. So welcome to our beautiful July weather. For the first time ever, we can brag about our weather in here. Oh, Petra's from the Czech Republic. Hey, I just went to your country. It's so beautiful. Let me know when I can move there. I lost Eli. He must have accidentally closed himself. So anyway, I'll just keep talking about Makey Makey without him. Oh, hi, Michelle. So close in San Antonio. Iwana's from Poland. We got a lot of people here from all over the world. That's what I love about this.
This is great.
Yeah.
So I'll do a quick intro for anyone who is rusty or new to the Makey Makey, and then I'll let you get started.
Okay.
If you're not familiar with Makey Makey, this is the Makey Makey. Colleen and I are both holding ours up. It is a little circuit board that looks like a Nintendo controller, so pretty familiar. It plugs into the computer, and your computer thinks it's a keyboard. So whenever I press the up button on the Makey Makey, my computer just thinks I'm pressing the up button on my keyboard. So I can press up, down, left, and right, and it's going to think that I'm just pressing those arrows. It's also got a space for the space bar and a click for the mouse, and we can use those as buttons for a game controller. And that's the basic idea. Now, that's not on its own particularly interesting, but what makes it interesting is what we can then do with it, because we can connect things to each of these pads. And rather than using these themselves to press the buttons, I can connect this up button to the thing we're most famous for, is a banana, right? I could connect this to a banana and make that banana into my up button. So whenever I press the banana, it presses up. instead of pressing the Makey Makey or my keyboard. And that's sort of the thing that we're most well known for, is turning bananas into buttons. But you can turn anything into buttons. You can turn people into buttons. You can turn all sorts of stuff. And so it's really fun for kids to take the Makey Makey and then invent things that become buttons and controllers for things they're doing on their computers. And that's kind of a very basic intro. Does that work, Colleen?
That works really well. I'm going to share a link in the chat to our homepage and highly suggest that you watch the video that's just below the start when you click over there, because it is, in fact, I think you can share it real quick. I'm not going to share the video because I said I wasn't sharing video. But if you click this video right here, you can see how you can already tell right here what's happening. But like they've drawn, I think Eric here drew Pac-Man symbols, and then he's driving a Pac-Man game. And they do all kinds of really fun, crazy stuff in the video. And what's really also fun, and he's might be in the chat, I didn't see, but Eric Rosenbaum from Scratch is one of the inventors of Makey Makey. So Jay Silver and Eric Rosenbaum made this wacky thing. And the only thing that you didn't say that I like to say, that just, oh, hey, you are there. Hey. The only thing I didn't say was that I like to hold up the keyboard, because sometimes people think that this is going to do something else, right? And, you know, what happened was Jay and Eric were kind of obsessed with like how to make keyboards do something else. Like you can look at Jay's invention of Draudio, which was about sound. And then anyway, this is the same as this, except that here, all I have is up, down, left, right, space, and click. And then Eli, will you grab the backpacks?
Yep.
You knew what I was going to say. I could see you.
I was reaching.
Yeah. On the back, it looks a little more like a microcontroller than the front. The front looks fun, like a Nintendo controller. It will work on any kind of computer. It especially works on a Chromebook. It even works on Raspberry Pi, as Eli can tell you. But on the back, you actually have WASDFG in this header right here. And you have some output up here, and then you have mouse controls over here. And so this is how Makey Makey has existed for the last 10 years. But I think it's been about 2 years ago now that we created the backpacks. So the backpacks, and I have two amazing participants right now from Infosys that can chime in if they want to help explain it if we do a bad job. He did it again. The backpacks plug on the back of Makey Makey, and they just let you use these back ports with plug and play access the way the front does. He keeps deleting himself.
I don't know what's happening.
It's okay. But the fun thing to me is that Makey Makey is about completing a circuit. So yeah, go ahead and show the Player 2 backpack, like just stuck on a Makey Makey, like stick it on a Makey Makey. So it's just like a backpack that goes on the Makey Makey. And now you can use the up, down, left, right. And the other side, you can use WASD, F, and G.
Yep.
All right. And so it isn't adding any new functionality. It's just making it more accessible for everybody. And the other thing that maybe you said it, and I'll just repeat it, is that how it works is you're completing a circuit. So a second ago, I was advancing my slides with Makey Makey by holding Earth. And then I complete a circuit when I press left or I press right, right? So if I don't hold Earth, let me hold it up here like this. When I press left and right, nothing happens. But when I do hold Earth and I press, you can see there's an LED that lights up on Makey Makey. And that's because I'm completing a circuit. So that's how the whole thing works. And so this is just a little handmade flashlight that I have. And I feel like it sort of shows the same thing, but like, so imagine this is Earth and this is my positive input. When I close the switch, the light lights up. And that's kind of how Makey Makey works. So the interesting thing is you find two conductive items and you find some way for those two things to come together to complete a circuit. And instead of it just an LED lighting up, your computer is told, hey, you just pressed the up arrow, or hey, you just pressed W. All right, so Sarah says that the backpacks are awesome and that she has used them. They do add, can you hold the Mickey Mouse up for a second?
Yeah.
They do add a whole different aspect because you have Mickey Mouse. So Mickey Mouse, you could take something like this. This is actually the drawing I have for the video about Mickey Mouse. And you can actually touch each of these inputs to move your mouse now. So it's super, super cool. Thanks, Daniela. I made this flashlight for Cub Scouts, and I realized that it is a great Makey Makey teaching tool as well. All right. So with Scratch, Makey Makey becomes even more fun because you can do all kinds of crazy inventions. And before I show playing sounds, I do want to show that we have some apps on our homepage that Eli, you should mute when you're typing.
I didn't know how loud. I was typing so quiet, and I was like, no one will know.
So loud. So we have all these apps on our homepage that are plug and play apps. So you would actually plug in. Let's just go ahead and do one to make sure it's working out. And I'll have to share this tab. Eli, you can tell me if you can hear it. So now when I hold Earth and I tap, oh, I'm not hearing anything for sure. Why? Am I doing right arrow? All right, a computer is only as smart as its programmer. This is backwards for me, so I was not pressing the right arrow. So when I press left arrow, I get a bongo sound. And this is actually the demo I do with students is the bongo demo first. So I hold Earth, I have them hold Earth, and then I have them try it again, right? Nothing's happening because I'm not holding Earth. So again, if I hold Earth, now I'm just like the flashlight, and I'll complete the circuit when I press left, face. And then if you take some alligator clips, things can get really crazy and fun. This is the next demo I do for that is I hold, I'm sorry, this is real. I don't know why I'm not actually using my, I'm going to switch my camera. Can I switch my camera? Oh, no, I can't. It's hard. Oh, yeah. Karanja, I use that all the time. Computer, it's actually what I do all the time because this bongo demo I think is the one that gets me the most. Like I am not being very smart right now. All right, so now I have this plugged into Earth, and I can use the metal to tap. All right, and to tap space. And I do really want to switch my camera, but I think there's actually almost no way to do it. I would have had to determined to be that way, other than what Eli's doing, which is deleting himself and bringing himself back, which I could do. So then what I do is I add a second alligator clip. So I'm going to make this alligator clip for space. And if these two things touch now, they're going to complete the circuit the same way the foil was earlier. But I'm not on my bongo app. Hang on. What I like to have kids do is have one kid hold this alligator clip, another kid hold this alligator clip, and then they fist bump to complete the circuit. And then I like to have Play-Doh, and this is my expert teaching Play-Doh tip, is to buy these little containers and never let the Play-Doh come out of the container. So now I can put this down into Earth for my Makey Makey, and I can actually, I kind of have that backwards. I'm going to put this one from space into the Play-Doh, and I'm going to hold Earth. And now when I touch the Play-Doh, it will make the bongo sound. So, and if I had a second Play-Doh with another alligator clip to the left arrow, I can jam out on my Play-Doh. What would be really ideal would be to have some beats. So I could make beats on beats, right? Come on, where's my laugh track? So now that we know that we can just connect to anything, and whatever our programming says, like whatever left arrow is supposed to do or space is supposed to do, I can do now with Play-Doh. I could do it with brass fasteners. I like to use these a lot. I could do it with a drawing. I could do it with all kinds of things. And so now I feel like we're a little bit more prepared for talking about how we would do this with Scratch. So just since there were a lot of you that were totally new to Makey Makey. So the first thing that I ever did was use Makey Makey and Scratch together to do sounds. And I actually had kids do like interactive poetry. So this is close to an example of interactive poetry because I used to have them do drawing visuals for it, but I also had them do blackout poetry. If anyone's ever seen blackout poetry, that's where you take like a newspaper and you black out certain words. I'll post that project in here, but the first thing we do is just make sounds to do like this. Actually, that's how I did it, was with blackout sounds, but this one is a different project. But since it's ELA, I want you to hear a couple of things. The way that we skipped that age level. We'll come back. We'll come back after this project. The first thing I wanted to show you guys was this crazy plot mountain, which I now realize is a little more complicated than just a drawing. So that's okay though. I'm going to go ahead and show you. So this is kind of an older project idea, the plot mountain itself. It's their old reading strategy that I think works really well if you're teaching something like exposition and rising action and climax. So what you actually do is this Makey Makey controller, this is Earth, and all of these drawn words are just what each different plot element is. And so in Scratch, you can actually code the sounds to happen. All right, so you could have your students build this little device, and then in Scratch, they would record themselves talking about what exposition is, what rising action is, and what climax is. Now, the other day when I was with the amazing Infosys group, we actually, I'll go ahead and open up Scratch. We actually came up with a really fun idea. They forced me to come up with a fun idea. So this is their idea, even though I guess I came up with it. I think this is really fun. So what you could do is you could do this code. You're going to play sounds on different backdrops. And we used the surprise button. So if I hit surprise in backdrops, I get first I have a pool. And then I'm going to go ahead and hit a second surprise, a third surprise, a fourth surprise, and a fifth surprise. Oh no, I got the pool again. I'm going to have to go back. I'm going to give myself a few different backdrops. And I'm going to click over on stage so that I can check my backdrops. I'm going to delete the first one and the third one and the swimming pool. What do I have now? I have 4. I need one more. One more surprise backdrop. All right, so now I have a cat and I have 5 backdrops. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just code for this to work for each different key press to switch the backdrops. And then my character or my lesson then would actually be for me to tell a story about this cat moving through these 5 different settings. So to do the code, it's actually really easy. And let me see, I'm trying to get this fixed here. Okay. I'm trying to think about what I want to happen. I made 2 different blocks of code, so I made this complicated. I should have done the first thing first. So let's just do the first part with the elements. So I'm going to use events and when space clicked. Let me make the screen bigger. And then I'm going to take these sounds and I'm going to play a sound. So right now I have when space pressed, which if I kept these plugged into Play-Doh, the orange one is space, I should be able to meow. And I press the button. So now I have this sound, but if I want to make a better sound, I can record. So if I'm recording what exposition is, I can say, or I guess I'm already here at the castle, I could say the exposition is the setting of the story. Well, that's not right. Let me re-record that. The exposition is the background of the story that sets everything up. All right, so maybe this is my sound, and then I can click save, and I can make myself read it like a robot if I want to, or save it. And I'm going to rename this exposition. But the alternative is I could actually just have this be the exposition of the story, right? I could have kids say, once there was a cat, right? I'm going to call this one explanation, just for fun. And record a second one. Once there was a cat who lived in a castle, right? So now I can build up a story. Call this one exposition story. I can build up a story that is based on the backdrops, all right? And with my code, I'm going to change that to explanation. Ooh, there we go. And so now when I press space, the exposition is the background of the story that sets everything up. All right, so that is how I do the first one. You can also use our Makey Makey extension block. It's right here. My emphasis people were asking me what's the difference between these two blocks. And the difference is that this one is only the keys that are, or this is every key. And this one is only the keys that are on Makey Makey. So if you have a Makey Makey out of the box, it has only up, down, left, right, W, A, S, D, F, G, and those mouse controls. You can remap it to other keys. You might want the exposition is the background of the story. You might want to use the event block when key pressed instead. All right, so I basically am going to build the whole thing by doing each recording and adding each one to a different key press. So let's say this was up and this was down. And if I want to add my complication of the story with the backdrop, I'm going to change the looks to the backdrops. Where'd they go? Switch backdrop to castle. So let's do number 1. And I'm going to put this as exposition story. That's up arrow. And then when I go to the next backdrop, oh, yeah. I'm going to go to the next backdrop, which let me see what all I have here. I guess I could just pick any one. I know what I'll do. I want this cat to want to go swimming at his castle. That would be kind of fun. So I'm going to switch the backdrop to and I'm going to play a new sound. And I would play sound until done. If I had done start sound, so I'll do that and then I'll record myself as another sound. So the kitty cat wanted to go swimming, but his castle didn't have a pool. All right, so now I've kind of introduced in the rising action the conflict of the story. And I've got that I'm going to call rising action and conflict story. And when I go to code, change that to here. And now I've got the wrong arrow key, so I'll make sure I do down. So let me just hold Makey Makey without the drawings, and then I'll show you how it works on the exposition flat mountain. All right, so now I've got it here, and I'm going to press up. Once there was a cat who lived in a castle. The kitty cat wanted to go swimming, but his castle didn't have a pool. Is there a dolphin in that pool? Can you guys see that? That looks weird. Looks like there's a dolphin. All right, so I can continue to make the story, and I just kind of make this a fun way to come up with the story by having each backdrop be the story that it's going to be. Where'd they go? What comes next? Switch backdrop to colorful city. What does that look like? I'm going to give myself some inspiration. So I guess he's going to go out, right, and look for it. And I have to have the climax be that something happens. And I can just make a really, really simple story. So I'm going to call this simple backdrop story. And this is kind of just like a way to play a word game with kids. If we were going to do poetry, we want to go step back and do poetry where it's a little bit easier and all we do is record a sound. I'll show you guys that project. The Blackout Poetry Project is really fun. And it's right here on our how-to page. So I wrote all these guides on our how-to page. That's why you get fun, crazy stories. Oh, when the Makey Makey is plugged in, those codes are already available in Scratch. So to use the extension, you would just add it, and then that's, let me explain that again in a second. I shouldn't have tried to read the chat. Eli, will you help me with reading chat and interrupting me at good points?
Yeah, we've answered that question in the chat, so no worries.
Oh, you did?
About where to find the Makey Makey specific blocks.
Oh, okay,
Those are
okay.
in the extensions thing in the bottom left.
Awesome. Oh, I like that Christina enjoys this idea. So here's the Blackout Poetry. I really did have fun coming up with the backdrop thing. I was like, this is fun. This is weird. Like it's those things that make storytelling a little bit more fun, that get kids involved. A lot of times kids don't want to write and they don't like saying things, or they don't like writing, but if they can say it out loud, sometimes it helps. So I did the same thing with high school when I did Blackout Poetry. This is when this is this quote I really love. A kid told me, "This is better than writing poetry. We can just steal it." So what you do here
is always better.
Well, this is based on Austin Kleon, who's another famous Austinite, who Sharpies out on old discarded book pages. So you can get discarded book pages pretty easy from a library most of the time. I know I said I wasn't going to do audio, but I want to go ahead and just play. This is the really sad high school Blackout Poetry song I made. So this is my fairly simple example of Blackout Poetry with Makey Makey for teenagers. Basically, you let teens explore how they can draw the circuit. A lot of times it helps to put the signal that you're going to be, the key input you're going to be using. So like this first one's just going to do up, and this is going to do down. And also, since I'm using an old book, I use an index card on the back to kind of give the alligator clip something to clip to, and they're just going to clip directly onto the paper. So the graphite, you'll notice too, is like really thick. It's get smudgy on my finger, so sometimes you do have to redraw to get your circuit working. So if I hold Earth and I touch the poem, since I've programmed it in Scratch, it is now going to make all the sounds for me when I touch it. So
worrying, corrected, rude, stop, breathe, nothing personal, happier.
So what I like about using Scratch to record poetry is that students can record their words and their phrases with tone and emphasize the words correctly. But what's even more fun is that with Scratch, I can kind of put the sounds together in a way that it wouldn't be possible if I were trying to speak them. So it can be more like my actual inner thoughts. All right, so you can you can go on a rabbit hole if you want to keep looking at that project, but this shows you exactly how you can do your own drawings. Here's another example of a student had done where I actually took old poetry books and let them use that. It's actually a really fun way as a librarian and an English teacher too, to teach, oh my gosh, my brain is forgetting it, the word copyright. You cannot have any more than 3 words together, or then you're just totally stealing, and the point that it's copywriting to the point that it's not okay anymore. What I noticed with high school kids when I did this project was that these kids who would never read poetry out loud in front of class, like with any kind of enthusiasm, it'd be more like, hello, this is my poem. You know, now they're excited and they're recording their voice on technology. It makes them excited, and they actually had a lot of fun recording their voices. And some of the kids who don't like to record their voices do use the sound effects. But the other thing that's really fun in Scratch, if you don't want to use your voice, and since Eric's here and he creates these extensions, so down here in the back corner, let me show that again, way down here in the corner, there are those extensions where we found Makey Makey. But you can,
just so you know, you're still in your browser window.
Oh yeah, thanks. Thanks, I'll do that again. You're the best. See, that's exactly what I needed someone for. See this little spot right here? You click on it, and then that's where we got the Makey Makey extension, but you can also get text to speech. So maybe for if we're adapting this for someone who doesn't want to speak out loud, you could have them write their poetry. I was thinking of John Cage. Poetry is nothing, and I am poetry. Is that it? Something like that? I don't know. I'm going to just say it like that. So now, when I press once, there was a cat who lived in a castle. I'm so bad sometimes at doing my job. All right, I'll go ahead and put that up here. And so now, when I hold Earth and I press the up arrow.
Poetry is nothing, and I am poetry.
All right, so I don't have to read it out loud. So I know I just said it makes kids excited, but there's definitely some kids who maybe still aren't going to want to speak it. They can actually use this text-to-speech extension, which is super cool. All right, so that's the Blackout Poetry project with Scratch, and there's a couple of different videos on there. I actually got the idea from another librarian, David Saunders, years ago, and just kind of went wild, adding more and more ways I could use it in my library or English or with English teachers. Now I'm going to go back to sharing this tab. So adding sounds is really easy and really fun. And then I really like adding the backdrop too. If you're new to using sounds, which maybe you aren't, but how about a show of hands if anyone's new to adding sounds to their project? You like it a lot better when the text-to-speech robot read the poetry.
Just some new meaning there when a robot is saying "I am nothing."
It's so true. On what is the podcast I listen to? I think it's Body Electric. They talked about AI robots. Oh my gosh, I don't know, but you guys have to find this one podcast. And they actually did feed a robot a bunch of poems and get it to write poetry, like a very advanced AI. And they had it like modeled after Werner Herzog or something. So it was really dark. Oh man, anyway. And when they had to unplug the AI robot, it was like, I knew you were never going to keep me around or something like that. So it's pretty funny. All right. So I'll explore the sound tab and I'll do a little bit more about text-to-speech just because I could tell that Daniela sounds excited about it and Deborah. So on the sounds tab, this is like if you're new to Scratch or you've never used the sounds, when you're here on your project, I don't think my arrow worked. Can you see my arrow?
You're still on the slides.
I know I'm on the slides, but Can you see my arrow? You can't.
No.
Because I can't see it. Well, all right. So just look tiny. I do have at least labeled sounds tab. You have code, costumes, sounds. So that's one way I show students to get to it. I did show you guys getting to it from the actual sound block. But when you're in there, you can start creating those sound effects and sound files, and they will appear up on the left. I have had some teachers who told me their sounds record weird. And so if something like that's happening, you can use an external place to record your sound and then import it. So when you're on the sound tab, you click on the microphone, and then I always make sure kids name them. And they're also specific to each sprite. So if I deleted the cat right now, all the sounds I recorded would be gone. And let me advance my slide. Of course, it's not going to work. I'm trying to be all fancy, and it's like not letting me. Come on. There we go. So you can upload the MP3, you can load a surprise sound, you can record your own sound, and you can search for a specific sound. And I think this is actually where I came up with the using the surprise backdrop idea, because someone just said, what about backdrops? And I was like, you know what? This would be such a fun idea. It's like story cubes where you just throw it, and I have no idea what the story's going to be. So I think that'll be really fun. A really fun rainy day storytelling idea. If you're teaching kids about the Sounds tab, you could have them record each sound in a different way, or upload a sound, load a sound, record a sound, or you can even search for specific sounds. But this is specifically for that other plot. Then once you've made the sound, you need to trigger it in your project. So there are these two different types: play sound until done and stop all sounds. So let me show you how those sound different on our Scratch project. You'll want to make sure that each sound is assigned to a different key press. Otherwise, well, let's just show what happens if these are both up arrow. So I can tell you that my students would go, Miss Graves, it's broken, it's doing them both. And then so come and look, which one, what have you done? Oh, again, the computer's only as smart as its programmer, and its programmer has up arrow twice. All right, so I like using it. I told you it's like my funny joke. I actually do have this one as start sound. So what I'm going to do is move this guy over here.
You're still on your slides for us.
Dang it again. Why didn't you tell me? All right, so they were both up arrow. And that's why that happened.
Poetry is nothing,
The kitty cat
and I am
wanted to go
poetry.
swimming, but his castle didn't have a pool. So I'm going to change this one now to down arrow. So now when I press down arrow, if I hold it, do you see how it's like, looks like it's the kitty cat wanted to go. The kitty cat wanted to go swimming, but his castle didn't have a pool. So what's happening is that's starting a sound over and over and over again. It's not playing it until it's done. So if I press is this the right arrow? This is the right arrow. Once there was a cat who lived. But if I hold it down, once there was a cat who lived. The kitty cat wanted to go swimming, but his cat. Oh no, I pressed them all. Once there was a cat. So it's just castle. I can hold it down. Once there was a cat who lived in a castle. And it's just going to keep playing the sound over and over. So that's the difference between play sound and start sound. One thing, too, that I always usually do with kids when I'm using the play sounds and start sounds is also adding the stop all sounds. And I also like to point out to students that Scratch reads from the top to the bottom. I actually had these really cool printable Scratch blocks out yesterday, but I hid them from myself. So since this goes up to the bottom, if I put this at the bottom, it's just going to stop the sound at the end. So I want to put stop all sounds at the top. And that way, and I'll go ahead and do it up here too. That way, if I'm holding down arrow, the kitty cat wants another one. Cat.
Poetry is nothing, and I am poetry.
It'll take over, it'll stop that sound and start a new sound so you don't have a cacophonous amount of noise going on in your classroom. Okay, the other thing I was going to do was talk a little bit more about text-to-speech really fast. So that's this extension down here, and it really is just about speaking. You can also set the voice. So if I'm going to get my win flag clicked, and I think you'll laugh at this, I'm going to change this now so that the voice is kitten, and we will hear how the cat reads my poetry is nothing. Ready?
Meow, 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 meow.
All right, so I just think that's really fun. I'll set it back to alto. I don't know what squeak does. Probably gonna like it.
Meow, 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 meow.
I didn't hit the flag.
Poetry is nothing, and I am poetry.
Not that bad. It sounds like me. You can also, if you want to just go a little bit further, which I would do, I did show my emphasis people this with the talking clock. You could even translate it into another language. So I could translate poetry is nothing into, y'all give me a language, pick one for you. Oh, let's do it in Czech. We have someone here from the Czech Republic. And I should be able to put this in here. So just throw that reporting block right in there. And now I should be able to press it.
Poesy Nini Nick. Adjacent poesy.
Ta-da! So that's pretty cool. All right. We've gone sort of off topic, but you know, I'm okay with it. I hope you guys are okay with it. You're getting good ideas. Got 100 people in here listening to me ramble about poetry. All right. So we did play sound and stop all sound, and we finished that one actually. So the next project I was going to share was I like making animations, and I really like this project with making animations to actually do ASL, especially with such an accessibility focus this year. Sorry, I'm reading the comments at the same time. I know it's off topic, but it's helpful. It's like all the cool things you didn't know you needed to know. Yeah, I know, Petra. We did another translation the other day. Then I was like, that sounds. Oh, it was Germany. It was the Deutsch, and it just said hello. I was like, no, it's hello. Like it needs an A sound. It's doing it wrong, but it is pretty cool. So in this project, your kids can actually just draw a word. So they could draw the word. This is another really cool thing. We could draw the word hello, and then we could use that speech to text to actually just have it say hello, and then bonjour, hola. I'm trying to think of all my hellos. What else do I know? Ni hao. I'm lost. That's all my hellos. But what's really fun, yeah, ciao, that's a good one. When you connect these to Scratch, now you can actually also do ASL. So what I did is, this is another project that just kind of, so that first one just does sounds, and then this one I help the kids kind of looking at how to explore looks and costumes. So you can actually animate a sprite quite easily by changing the costumes. And you can add those things into a repeat loop or a forever loop, not a forever loop, but in a repeat loop. Then that actually is going to help the kids kind of start exploring that control palette. And what I did for this project was I just took pictures of me signing ASL, and I did it with a white backdrop, but you can actually use this website called Remove Backdrop, which should just be, you know what? Let's just make sure it still works. It's remove background. I keep saying backdrop. I mean to say background. And all you do is upload that image, and then it'll strip out the back, and then you can put that into Scratch. And we're going to put those in the costume tab. So if you have more than one word, you're actually going to want to like label each one. So I have this. Let's start this as a new project. I know I'm coming back over here, and I'm starting a new project. Am I signed in? I'm signed in. Because I have my pictures of me in the backdrop already out here. So I'm going to go to Scratch Kitty, and I'm going to delete him. And I'm going to paint a sprite. I think this will work. And then I'm going to do excuse 1, excuse 2, excuse 3, and excuse 4. So I just also totally cheated and did something you may not have known. Oh, that didn't delete that. Weird. May not have known exists. I had thrown all these in my backpack. So the backpack's awesome.
I was admiring that. That is a pro level use of the backpack.
If you did not have a backpack, if you weren't using your backpack, you would just click upload costume right here. Thanks. What's really cool is whatever you put in the backpack should also have the code already on it. I don't think these do because I tried not to, but oh man, let me move my sprite down. So now I should be able to take my, well, I'll go ahead and use my Makey Makey lock. When space key pressed, and I want to repeat, because it'll just look nicer if I repeat it 3 times. I'm going to have, oh, I did this with you guys the other day and we didn't really talk about it, but let's make sure we talk about it. So I'm going to do switch costume to 1, 2. Who knows the mistake I'm making already? Is anybody going to catch me? I'm doing another computer as smart as its programmer. Anybody know what's going to happen? Boop. What? Why didn't it work, Eli?
Yep, Ruth has it because you need to put a weight block in between. Yeah, everyone's catching that.
Don't y'all just wish you were in my classroom? I just play like I'm dumb all day. And
It's good to put the mistakes or to like let the kids make the mistakes.
yeah,
It's so much easier when they make them to explain how to fix it than to just try to explain the right way to do it before they've seen the mistake.
Yeah, well, I mean, it makes it so much more fun too when they're like, Miss Graves, duh. All right, so now when I hit space, I'm saying excuse in sign language. And I should have done hello, so let's go ahead and do hello just to see it. Did I get hello? Look at that, I don't have hello in there. I have yes and thank you. I guess I could draw hello really fast. Well, you get it. I would connect this to the word, and then I've got the word. If I want to do more than one word, I want to do a new hat block. I'm really sad I misplaced my, I'm going to look for them real fast. My portable scratch blocks, because I usually wear them on my head. I thought I saw it over there. So you can say, I know it's a hat block. That's the other way I teach scratch is that it's a hat block, and I can't put anything on top of it because it's on top already. When down arrow, and now I'm going to do thank you. Whoa, what am I doing? Switch costume. I was trying to drag it straight from down there. You were all about my pro level until I did that. Thank you. Wait a minute. Oh, because I didn't do those, did I? My brain was working. It just wasn't working, if that makes sense. Thank you 1, thank you 2. And now those should be there for my costume. Thank you 1. Thank you 2. And wait. 0.25. Is that you have like 5 seconds warning? And I press down.
10 minutes left.
10, okay. Thank you. Thank you. All right, so that is how you would code each costume to change. There you go, change with key presses. And you can draw them with words. You could create the words with Play-Dohs. Also another fun way if you want to do this with younger students. And then again, we could use those text-to-speech blocks. You could also use this to make like an interactive poster, a talking biography bottle. Those are really fun. So Kathleen Fugel, I don't know if she's here on the call, has done a mini museum, which is super cool. And I've seen that over on Instructables. And then 2 of my other favorite scratchers, which are Bradley Quinton and, oh my gosh, my brain is breaking. They're from Houston. Kimberly Boyce. They did the talking biography bottle. And so that is a project where you actually just like take a plastic bottle and you put a face on it and you put different conductive touch points on it, and you can have it talk about, have the kids research someone and have the kids have them speak what happens. Like, you know, this is Martin Luther King. You know what I'm saying? I just was going to show you something because I said that and I don't know what it was. That's okay. So, that's really the end. Those are all the exciting things I have. I know what it was. It was the Dolly 1.0 project. So another similar project over on our page. I put some things in the slide, and then we have so many resources over on our how-to page. I'll come back over here to all activities and just show you. There is a project down here with the Dolly Circuit sound bites. And I think this is the one where we built, well, there's a bunch of Dolly projects, but you can build different little dollies and have different conductive touch points on them. And so here's like a little robot. And this one we built a sidewalk for him. And this is based on a book called Dolly 1.0 that is a little girl who has a doll, and she wants it to do more than just be a doll. She wants it to like speak, which she just loves her doll. And then her dog tears it up. And so then she's like, I'm going to reinvent the doll to be, you know, to actually speak. And she uses Makey Makey in the book. So it's pretty fun. So this is a whole project based on that. It uses the sampler app, but it can easily be done with Scratch because that is the way I first did this project, which I think I have. What do you call this? This thing down here, it doesn't work great all the time, but there is a hacking literacy with Makey Makey section that has a bunch of these projects that I just showed. So there's that making a literacy with Dolly 1.0 using Scratch. There is the Blackout Poetry. There's Sketch It, Play It Poetry. Josh Berger did a really cool puppet show project. And then 10 years ago, when I first started doing Makey Makey projects, I made this insane language arts riddle logic project. And then I also have a really fun one with dual language. So there's the sound bites. And I'll send a link over for Biography Bottle. And I'll make the slides public.
I posted
somewhere.
the Biography
thanks.
Bottle in the chat.
Thank you. I see that. We have slides for educators that aren't using Scratch, just for the first time you're using Makey Makey for slides 2023. I put that link in there, and then
I think the slides for this will become available after.
yeah. And if not, I will make a shortcut that's called makeymakey.com Scratch 2024, just like that, and publish them in the next 30 minutes. So if there's any other questions you have, we've done lots and lots of fun English projects over at Makey Makey. We do all kinds of crazy fun things. And I didn't even show the talking, I have like 5 minutes. I didn't show you my other talking things that I think are really fun. Here is a talking clock. So this is made the same way as that plot mountain, where this is Earth and each brass fastener is hooked up to Makey Makey. So you can have the clock speak. And this one is also one of my favorite, which is a talking calculator. So I had made a giant one of these in 2019. And then we were doing a project with Makers Making Change, and someone wanted to make a Braille calculator. And I was like, oh, I should make it talk too. So like, this is a functional calculator coded in Scratch. And this, I believe, is under apps and Scratch apps. So we have a few different really fun Scratch apps that you can use. Oh my gosh, there's one I totally didn't talk about. Oh yeah, there it is. There's the talking calculator. So there's my talking calculator.
Can you hold the clock back up?
Yeah. Actually, I have two different versions. Here's my prettier version.
And like you said, that's built the same way as the plot mountain, where the clock hand is
this is Earth.
Earth.
And then this is like up, down.
Every one of those can be wired to, yeah.
This one uses Makey Max. So if you want to hold up Makey Max, we can.
So whenever you need to use absolutely every input on the Makey Makey, rather than using the
this one
rather than using the jumper pens on the back.
Welcome to this adapted calculator.
All right, go ahead.
No, that's good.
I'm good. So say it again, Makey Max.
Oh, I was saying that the Makey Max is the easier way to connect to all of those things that you normally would use the jumper pins for on the back of the Makey Makey. So rather than having to plug into these, this just makes it easier, and they're all labeled, so much better.
Oh, I guess it was over. It booted us all out. I don't even know if we're talking to anyone anymore. There's no chat window or anything.
Oh, it's. I think it might have locked up for you. I can still see and hear you, and the chat's still popping up.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, I was gonna send a link to that, but if you didn't see it, we have all these fun. I just wanted to finish with that. We have all these fun Scratch apps that we have loved over the years that are here. So Eric's Beatbox Quartet, Guitar Hero, Virtual Makey Makey, and Story City was the other one that's really fun. That's another example of creating stories about a fictional city. That is kind of where we got started making our not our poetry, our interactive poster. And then the poem generator is really fun. So obviously I didn't hook those up to the hacking literacy. I need to move those there. But the poem generator is really fun. It introduces the random block with those sounds. And I should have had that as the last project on there. But thanks everybody for coming today. We thank you so much. Let me see if I can get my thank you back that I was just working on. I can say thank you with Makey Makey, right? Where'd it go? Share this tab. Thank you. We love Scratch.